Hello, Zuko here, and this is my reading vlog for the Locked Tomb series so far. So I am going to invite spoilered conversation in the comments. If anyone wants to talk about spoilers for Nona the Ninth or any of the previous books, put them in the comments. So just come into this knowing that. Not that I think I'm going to get a lot of comments, but I want to talk about it with somebody, so I'm hoping somebody else wants to talk about it too. And like tell me what's going on. That'd be cool. My dog is not settling down on my bed and I'm worried he's gonna fall off. But it is time for me to give you my thoughts on my reread of The Locked Tomb and my first time read of Nona the Ninth. So these are not going to be good thoughts. They're not going to be concise thoughts. They're going to be a mess because I'm not good at these books. I really like them, but I'm really bad at them. So to start off, okay, my first thing, I have to tell somebody this anytime I talk about this, but the first time I read Gideon the Ninth, I thought Harrow's name was Harrow Hark, like first name Harrow, last name Hark, and that the Nona was another person. Because like, especially the beginning of the book really builds up this, oh, Lady Nona and the lady and blah, 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 and I thought she was going to be like this big imposing figure and not this like weaselly little bratty kid Harrow is. And so I thought the Nona was a separate character, especially because I had just recently read Dune, and they're the Bene Gesserits, and Bene Gesserit and Nona sound very similar. So I assumed that the Nona was someone else and not Harrow, which meant that I read like quite a bit of Gideon the Ninth thinking there was a whole other character that just wasn't there because I was making them up. So that won't surprise you if you watch the rest of this video and know that I spent the entire reading of Harrow the Ninth thinking that Ianthe was the main villain from Gideon the Ninth because I had blocked out the existence of Cytherea. She didn't exist. She wasn't in my head. I could not retain her. I would hear her name and it would just like in one ear out the other, gone. So I remembered there being a fight at the end with like the bone monster thing, and I thought it was Ianthe. I thought Ianthe was the villain, and it made reading Harrow weird because like nobody was addressing the fact that Ianthe was the main villain of Gideon. So I added a character. I completely removed a character. We're starting off strong. I think out of the 3 books so far that Gideon the Ninth had the best cast of characters. I really liked them all. I know that like some of them have shown up in other books in other ways, but like I just liked the cast and the dynamic in the first book a lot. And I miss some of the characters that like we didn't really see later. This one's being bad and won't sit still, so we're here now. Okay. I don't know how Tamsin Muir manages to make each book like a different cast of characters for the most part and still keep you invested and still make each character feel like a different person. Like I feel like I write like 6 people and like that's fine, it's fine, but I don't think I could make more than that feel like distinct human beings with distinct thoughts. And Tamsin Muir is like a genius with that. So like while I miss the characters from book 1 like a lot when I'm reading the other 2 books, especially Nona, it wasn't that I didn't like the new characters. I still liked them. They were all still likable people. I have to put you away. Sorry, he was too warm and I couldn't keep moving my legs. He's like 25 pounds. It was a lot to sit with. My feet don't touch the ground on this stool, so I have to be like on my tiptoes, and it's just like a lot of weight to carry on one tiptoe because I sit with my leg. Anyway, to continue some Gideon thoughts, I don't know how Tamsin Muir made a silent protagonist work, like at all. Like I've read other books with silent protagonists, and like there's a lot of other people like assuming what the protagonist means usually, and there's like miscommunication tropes and stuff, and Gideon and I didn't have that. Gideon still had a lot of personality just by their narration style and stuff, where you didn't feel like you lost out on anything about Gideon. There was still all the personality, even when they weren't talking to anybody, and I really enjoyed that because I thought that was cool and hard to do. My last thought on this reread was that I didn't realize that the houses were on planets. I thought the houses and wherever they were in book 1, the Cannon House or whatever, I thought these were all just floating like space stations. I thought that there were like 9 big weird space stations, I guess. I was wrong. I was thinking kind of like space stations like the Halos in Halo, where they have like life-ish on them, but it was like all kind of underground. I don't know what I thought, okay? I don't know what I thought. It didn't make a lot of sense. And when I reread Gideon, I was like, oh, the Ninth is on a planet? Like what? And my friend was like, yeah, I'm assuming that like the 9 houses are the 9 planets. And I blew my mind because it never occurred to me. Never once occurred to me. This is a running theme in me reading these books, is that everything goes over my head. And that's fine. It doesn't make me enjoy these books less to not know what's going on. So now my thoughts on rereading Harrow. Now this was the book that when I first read it, everyone warned me, this is the confusing book. You're never going to know what's going on. I'm like, bitch, I didn't know what was going on reading Gideon the Ninth. What do you mean it gets worse? And honestly, I found Harrow the easiest of the 3 books so far to understand on my first read. For the most part. I was also warned about the second person perspective. Everyone's like, it's so confusing, it's so weird, but I listen to audiobooks. I don't know if it's different when you're physically reading it, but I zone the you out immediately. I stopped like paying attention to it. It doesn't change my experience at the book at all. Like, I didn't notice it. So everyone kept warning me like, oh, there's a second person perspective, it's so weird. I didn't notice it. Maybe it's different when I'm physically reading it. I really want to physically read these books sometime soon-ish. Soon is in next year, but I haven't done that yet. So I think Harrow the Ninth is my favorite book. And that might be because it was the book I understood the most, but I also really liked essentially Gideon's narration over Harrow's life and how unhinged Harrow is, while everyone like the fandom really wants her to be like this put together, prim, proper person who's like really stoic and shit. And she's just this paranoid little fucking goblin lady. I love it. Incredible. She's a great character. We love Harrow. But I did when I got to the end of Harrow the first time, my friend was like, oh yeah, so like you got to like the part, so like it was Gideon the whole time. And I'm like, what? Like I thought they were reaching. I'm like, this is crazy. You're making this up. It was not Gideon the whole time. Like it's only now Gideon. I had to read an interview with Tamsin Muir before I read Harrow the second time and have her go, yeah, it was really hard to like not make it seem like it was Gideon the whole time. I had to cut out some lines so that you wouldn't know that it was Gideon narrating. And then I read it the second time with that knowledge, and of course it's Gideon narrating it. How could I have not noticed that? How did I, like when my friend told me, how did I not believe them? Because like it's so obvious. And no. And Moira Quirk does a fantastic job because she does narrate with the same tone of her narration that she did in Gideon the Ninth, which is from Gideon's perspective. So you don't necessarily notice that it's from Gideon's perspective still until the second read. And then you're like, oh, you're being told this from Gideon's point of view, which is super cool. I really loved how Moira Quirk did that. The first time I read Harrow, I had to rewind the Ortis. I don't know. There's an R in it, but in my brain it's Otis, but the R is because of Moira Quirk's accent, but it's not apparently. The fight between Ortis and the sleeper agent person thing. I had to rewind it like 4 times because it kept zoning out. And like even during the reread, I had some trouble with that part. I also completely spoiled the twist, I guess, that Harrow had blocked out Gideon's name from her mind in the first read of Harrow because I couldn't tell if I was hearing 2 similar names wrong, like if I was hearing them oddly, like Ortis and somebody else, and I was just mixing them up in my brain because I'm bad at hearing things and I'm bad at retaining information. So I was trying to Google like, oh, like Ortis the First, and it would come up as Gideon the First, and I was like, wait. So I spoiled myself there. That was fine. That wasn't like a big spoiler, and I don't actually mind spoilers so much usually. As long as I've consented to them. Even now, even through my second reread, I like couldn't tell you who the villain in this book was. Like I know they were that sleeper agent person thing, but like I couldn't tell you all of the things that were happening. Like I just read the Wikipedia page for that sleeper person thing. Oops, there goes gravity, whatever. I was learning so much about this book that I've read twice by reading the things she had done in that book that I just read. And like, I'm not sure if the sleeper agent was Oops, There Goes Gravity, and there was someone, Harrow was being haunted. I say I understood Harrow the most, and it's my favorite of the 3 so far, but I didn't understand fuck all, okay? I missed who the villain was in both books. I still don't really remember who the villain was in Harrow, and I just read it. Here are my thoughts on Nona. Are you ready? They're not going to be like cohesive thoughts, of course. I really like that it starts off with descriptions of dogs, mostly Noodle. We love Noodle. Also, I was a big fan of Nona as a character. I liked her childish whimsy of the world and that she just loved everybody and stuff. I thought making a adult who is 6 months old really interesting because she did it well and not in a like super infantizing way. I don't know. I was a really big fan of Nona and the way that she was written and like her in general. I thought that was really interesting. And I loved her relationships with everybody. Like, I loved the little shitty kids with their little silly names. Like, I love that Nona could comprehend any spoken language, so she translated their names, so you got names like Born in the Morning and Honesty, and then there's a kid who's just named Hot Sauce, and I loved Hot Sauce. Hot Sauce was great. I loved the shitty kids. They were great. I did never really understand Pyrrha's character. I learned later through Google that Pyrrha is Gideon the First's cavalier that was locked in a brain prison. Lost on me. Absolutely. I just went, okay, there's this new person here. Okay, cool. I like them. Didn't retain anything. Didn't know anything about them through the whole book. Whole thing. Finished the book when I still don't know who they were. Like, honestly, sometimes I'm just proud of me for getting through these books without knowing what's going on. Like, at this point, it's almost like I'm intentionally ignorant, and I'm not, but like, it's like failing a test and getting 0% because you got all of the answers wrong. You're looking at it and you're like, are you deliberately doing this? No, I really just don't know what's happening most of the time. I swear I'm not this clueless in my day-to-day life. And like, I can't tell, like maybe my brand of autism just isn't letting me pick up on anything in these books. Like, I'm not good at seeing clues and stuff, and that's fine. But like, I feel like a dumbass reading these books, and I'm enjoying every second of it, so it's fine. But yeah, Pyrrha didn't know their deal for the entire book until I was reading the Wikipedia page for Oops, There Goes Gravity. I did love seeing Palamedes and Camilla again. I liked them. I really like Palamedes. I'm so in Camilla, but their relationship was like so tragic, and I really liked that. But as my friend pointed out, they don't love when fusions mean you take two things and make a new thing instead of you take two things and make the two things one thing, if that makes sense, you know? Like, they're a different person now. They're Paul, and they're not Palamedes and Camilla. They're a new thing. And like, I agree, because I'm gonna miss Palamedes, and like, I'm kind of sad about that. But I also really liked Paul. Like, Paul did feel like the parts of, like, both parts of the whole, but like at the same time was separate. And I'm really interested to see what happens with Paul's character and like what they are up to later. But I do kind of miss the two halves. But also, I think the relationship was like sad, and I think this is probably the better end of things. I loved the John chapters. My friend and I were just talking before Nona came out about how like we didn't think that there was actually like real lore to this world, and that it kind of felt like it didn't matter. My friend said they liked what they liked about the book is that there is like such a big thing going on, but we only focus on what's important to the characters. So if like eating cereal is what's important to the characters, that's what we focus on and not the bigger picture. And I agree. I think Tamsin Muir is really good at doing that. I didn't expect like any lore for why the world was like this, because I remember asking my friend, like, I want to know the like evolutionary benefit to necromancers becoming a thing. I didn't think we were gonna get it. I truly didn't expect any sort of like how everything came to be in these books, and I loved learning about it. I loved everything. I still don't really get it. Shocker, I know. Like, so they were doing experiments on corpses, but only the corpses John loved became like animated for a while. I don't understand that, but like, did he have deeper powers before that, or like what? Why him, you know? But I'm okay with not knowing that because I got a lot more than I ever expected, and I liked the cows facts throughout the books. I was a real fan of that. I like cows. R.I.P. to all of the livestock, I guess. Book 1, Ianthe wasn't really there, right? We didn't get a lot of Ianthe. Book 2, I loved Ianthe. I love that she just like, her job was to lounge around and be bitchy and hate everything, but like in a way that was like so endearing. And I loved Book 2 Ianthe. I'm back to hating Ianthe. Prince Ianthe fucking sucks. But I did in this book like Corona Beth. So like, I don't know. I guess you can't like both twins at the same time, right? So I guess right now we like Corona Beth. Maybe we'll like Ianthe later, but I feel like Ianthe's going to be like a shitty villain. So that's my prediction, I guess. And I'm okay with liking Corona Beth for now. Even though she's like not as cool, she's still pretty cool. And lastly, I guess, for my thoughts on Nona the Ninth, they're so disjointed. Tell me things down below. Just tell me anything that you took away or liked about these books, and make it as nonsensical as this is if you need to. That's okay. But the last thing, Puppet Gideon had the stupidest fucking name. I don't even remember it. And I didn't like Puppet Gideon. This Gideon sucked. I was surprised. Like, how do you make Gideon suck? But like, I guess you take out her soul, and like that's probably what makes Gideon like tolerable is having a soul. But I miss normal Gideon, and I hope that, I mean, I'm assuming these books are going to end with Harrow and Gideon either both fucking dying for good or like back reunited. Yeah, I guess, okay, I'm giving my predictions for the future based on the fact that I know nothing. But I want the book to end platonically between Harrow and Gideon. I don't see Harrow having romantic feelings. I know that she's in love with the body, but like, I don't know. I know everyone's like, oh my god, they're lesbians and they're in love, and I'm like, no, but okay. So they're not my endgame ship. I don't know that I have one. I don't really give a shit about romance, TBH. Hashtag asexual aromantic life, but like, I don't know. I just want them to be reunited as people, and that's what I want to see. I don't know, is God dead? Do we think God's dead? Are we gonna find out God's dead? Yeah? You don't touch that. You think God's gonna die? No. Stop rubbing on my tripod. What? Do you think God's dead? Okay, you heard it here first, folks. Babs thinks God is dead. She does. She told me. Please don't lick my mouth. That's my, like, I do think God's dead, because we didn't see any present day John, right? We saw them talking to like Nona, Harrow, someone. I didn't get that part either, let's be honest. Do we think necromancy is going to be over? Do you think that Blood of Eden or whatever? Like, do we think the book is going to end and everyone's going to have no powers? I feel like that'd be a cop-out, but like, I feel like Tamsin Muir could pull it off really well. But I do think that it would kind of, what's it? Shadow and Bone, Ruin and Rising It, where Alina loses her powers and everyone else gets powers. Like, I don't want to see the necromancers lose their powers, because I feel like that's like the main draw of everything. But I guess if everything is good, do they need their powers? I don't know. I just think the magic system's really cool, so I don't want to see that go. And yeah, I heard book 4 is going to take place in hell. Harrow's going to hell. Because there's, I don't know, something the Bible, something biblical nonsense that these books are filled with that is also right over my head. Shocker. But yeah, those are my predictions, I guess. Okay, my final thoughts. What are my final thoughts? I wrote everything down last night, so I didn't forget things. I don't know how Muir manages to write like the stupidest like memes and kids named Hot Sauce and Bone Harrow Soup. Like, they just write the dumbest shit and play it off like pretty fucking straight face. Like, all of the characters take everything so seriously. Even like Bone Harrow Soup and like nun houses with left green. Like, this is played off not for funny ha-has so much, and it's just so straight-faced, and I don't think most writers could pull it off. There's not like a comedic tone to a lot of that stuff, and I really like it. I think it's really cool, especially like Harrow. Weird, crazy, stupid shit happens around Harrow all the time, and she takes it all stone-faced serious. Incredible. Just absolutely incredible. And if you told me before Nona came out that all of this world building was made up on the spot, and Tamsin Muir didn't know, like, they just went sure and threw spaghetti at the wall and saw what stuck, and they didn't put any thought into it, right? If you told me that was the truth, I would have believed you. I'm like, yeah, we don't need to know, it doesn't matter. And now that we have like actual lore, I'm like so impressed. And I really didn't think that was gonna happen. And my finalist thought is, how does Tamsin Muir write a book that is so just purely incomprehensible to me? And a lot of people are confused the first read through of these books. Like, everyone talks about how they need to read them a couple times to get it. How do you write a book series that people don't get on their first read, but they keep coming back? They keep wanting to get it. They love this world. They love the characters. How do you do that? Because that's incredible writing. I'm just amazed. Every time I read these, my dog is upset with me for talking so loud, and he's in his crate right now because he kept trying to run off my bed. It's fine. But I don't know how you take a book series that must make perfect sense in Tamsin Muir's head, but not to anybody else, and you publish it and you get a like cult following of people who just love this book, love the characters, love the world building, it's incredible. Tamsin Muir is so talented, and I'm really excited to see what they write after the Locked Tomb series, because I want to know, like, are they a one-trick pony? Is this it? Did they sell their soul for like one good book series, or are they going to keep just churning out like masterpieces of fiction? I'm so excited to know what's going to come after this. So yeah, I don't think that reviews and giving my final thoughts are really a thing I'm great at, but I'm doing it because that's how you get better. I want to get better at doing stuff. So, you know, we're doing it, and I will see you whenever I do my next video, and then let me know like all of your takes and everything. I want to hear everything. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear you explain what you think was going on. I want to hear everything. Please let me know down below. And yeah, I'll see you whenever I do my next video.